Okay, so I was asked about foot exercises, and this is probably the best way for me to do it since I don't have a camera person to shoot this. So, one, you're gonna have to deal with my nasty, destroyed, mangled feet. I'll be kind to you, and I won't show you the soles of my feet since they're covered in scars. But if you look at my foot here, the arch is low, but it is present. Okay, so the first uh, exercise that I would have you do is to pay attention to, does your foot pronate when you stand? Now I'm sitting down right now just for the purpose of being able to shoot this, but if I was to put weight on this foot and intentionally push inward, you'll see that it pronates in and that arch collapses. And if you look at it from the front of the foot, the way that your ankle moves, that's why you're overpronating and you have flat feet. You're actually buckled in. So if you looked at the Achilles tendon, mine are awesome because I have these great bone spurs on the back, but basically your foot is collapsing inward like so, which is putting torque on your tendon, and then you end up with these great little bumps. Now, I developed that when I had flat feet. So, the first thing I would have you do is just basic isometric movements. So, you'll stand on one foot and you'll raise your big toe up. And as you can see, as soon as I did that, I now have an arch. And you'll just hold that isometric for as long as you can, and believe me, the longer you hold it, eventually you will really start to hurt. You may even get foot cramps. So that's the first exercise I would do. So I used to stand on one foot and just hold this position really, really tight, as far as you can possibly lift your toes up. Okay, that's the first one. The second one I would do is called a short foot. Now I'm going to try to purposely overpronate here, and you want to squeeze, pressing your big toe down, and it will contract the bottom of your foot. So you're actually trying to squeeze with this part of your foot, okay, but you're going to have to push down with your big toe. So you push your big toe down into the floor, and you squeeze that arch, trying to pull this together, okay? And you're going to see that your foot's going to come back, and it's going to have an arch. It'll be slight if you're way overpronated, but when you squeeze, you'll see this here. And again, you want to hold that isometric. Now, you can do that standing on both feet initially, because this is a lot harder than the one where you hold your big toe up. But then eventually you want to get to the point where you can do that standing on one foot. Okay? Now I'm trying to think of the best way to show you the rest of the exercises. Well, I guess the next one we'll jump into is any kind of calf raise. Whether you're doing it standing or seated, push with your big toe. Really push with your big toe. A lot of people have developed compensation patterns where they roll out to the outside of their foot. And so they're doing these calf raises, and they're actually putting their weight on the outside of the foot, and they're rolling out with the ankle. I'm trying to shoot this, and it's not so easy, but they're rolling out their ankle in order to do their calf raises. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you're staying over this metatarsal here. So you want to push with the big toe. Press that big toe into the floor and do your calf raises, whether they're seated and you have a big dumbbell sitting on your knee, or if you're standing. And then eventually, you're going to be able to do single leg, so standing on one foot and then pushing up. So that's, and the next kind of, I don't know, like trick, like an adjustment to an exercise you're probably already doing. You're probably already doing calf raises, but make sure that now you push your big toe. Also, you can just simply hold this position isometrically. Just if you're sitting on the couch, just put your foot up and hold that as long as you can. You can also squeeze this way for as long as you can, and you will notice that if you can hold this as an isometric, like you're really squeezing as hard as you possibly can, it will fatigue. Those muscles will start to strengthen. So apart from that, I like to do a lot of barefoot training. Mind you, this is rehab barefoot training, so I'm not talking barefoot training like we're doing some kind of weird paleo BS. I'm talking really specifically like I'm trying to rehab my feet. Therefore, when I try to rehab my feet, I'm going to lift lightweight, but lift it barefoot. So I'm going to try to shoot this here. But so whenever you deadlift, you want to barefoot, right? You're going to do a Romanian deadlift here. And so holding your toes up, you're going to come down, and then when you hit the bottom, you want to push your toe into the floor and come back up. Okay, so holding the toes up on the way down, there's your eccentric. If you're going to pause, the bar's probably going to be somewhere around your mid-shin. You're going to press your big toe into the floor and drive up. Okay, and I stole that one from Cal Dietz, so I just want to make sure that I give credit where credit's due. That is a Cal Dietz movement, and Matt Van Dyke as well. Glute layering model that's in the newest triphasic lacrosse manual. Other things I do, squats, and I will squat, again, same style. I'll put my feet out, and I will try to put my weight on the inside of the foot even though I'm holding my big toe up. Okay? And I'll squat down. Once I hit the bottom of my squat, I'll push my feet into the floor and drive back up, pressing my big toe. Okay? So toes up on the way down, press the big toe into the floor, and drive back up. Okay? That's another one. And then of course, I'm trying to think of an easy way to explain this one. Single leg Romanian deadlift. I don't care if you use a kettlebell or whatever you're using, but I'll hold my foot like this the whole time. So I'll come down and come back up while holding my toes off the floor the entire time. This will really, really fatigue, your, I guess, how can I put this? You're trying to hold your toes up despite the fact that this movement wants you to push down. And so you're going to resist that. And so you'll notice you may cramp in the front of your calf, you may cramp in the top of your feet, you probably will get cramps in the bottom of your feet at some point in time. Other things is learning to spread your toes. I know that that sounds really dumb and really stupid, but I swear to you that works. As an exercise, just open your toes up as far as you possibly can, push them down in the floor, maybe do a calf raise with them, but if you can get your feet to spread and you can start getting control of your toes, that will really build the muscles in your feet. Okay? Naturally, you can do that towel exercise, or you can even just use a sock for it. It really doesn't matter. And you can just try to squeeze with your toes. You can try to pick things up with your toes. All kinds of really stupid, inane stuff that makes you use your feet in a way that requires some level of dexterity. I know that sounds bizarre. I know that a lot of this sounds really stupid and I guess like woo. And believe me, I will be the first person to tell you, I did not believe this shit would work at all. When I first started doing it, I was like, this guy's screwing with me and he's just going to trick me into breaking my feet. But at that point, I had already fractured my foot 12 times, and so I was desperate to try anything. So like I said, I even warned you guys, I would make a really shitty video because I don't do well with this kind of stuff. But that is a quick synopsis of the exercises that I do. Like I said, I do a lot of stuff barefoot. And it's not because I don't wear weightlifting shoes when I squat, or I don't wear, the flattest shoes I can possibly find for deadlifting, like Chuck Taylor's or something, or Vans, or DC's, or whatever. But I do make a point to, especially my warm-up, I will do my warm-up barefoot, barefoot hopping, barefoot jumps, whatever small. Make sure they're small. Don't get crazy and be like, oh, I'm going to do a 42-inch depth jump. Maybe off like a 12-inch, 8 to 12-inch, quick drop jumps, stuff like that. But again, that big toe, this guy is magic. Perry Nicholson has talked about it, Gray Cook has talked about it, and if you listen to a lot of really high-level strength coaches that work with sprinters, from like Dan Pfaff, Stuart McMillan, etc., they will mention the importance of having strong feet, strong big toe. And actually, if you read Cal's latest book, the Triphasic Lacrosse Manual, he even talks about how that big toe, being able to activate that big toe will actually allow you to recruit more of your glute. So it helps people jump higher, run faster, etc. You can even watch his videos on YouTube. He has a bunch of videos explaining how it actually transfers into sprinting, because if your foot is functioning properly, you're generating more force into the ground, and of course The more force you can generate into the ground, the faster you run. There you guys have it. I know this sucks, but quality is bad and I don't speak well, so that should give you a rough start of some of the exercises. I have a whole bunch of other ones that I tried that were stupid and didn't really seem to help. Those are the big guys that did seem to help. And like I said, that short foot is really, that one was the most effective for me, of just trying to squeeze this arch, and I'm squeezing from here and trying to pull that together, and then standing, literally just isometric standing with my foot like this, for as long as I possibly could. And you can even bob up and down and do single leg squats on it if you get bored. If you're some kind of super athlete who can stand on one foot for an extremely long period of time, you could do all kinds of stuff. You could do pistol squats even. So there you guys have it. I hope this helps.